Recording in progress.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of Fort Worth. We're pleased you are here today, and we would like to start with our invocation given by Lindsay Russian, the General Manager of Casa Manana, followed by our national anthem played by Wesley Gentle, Executive Director and President of Arts Fort Worth. Lindsay?
As we gather here today, let us take a moment to appreciate those who surround us and the connections that we share. The news these days is full of doubt, despair, destruction. So may this hour that we spend together be one of good conversation and renewed energy. May we leave here with a sense of gratitude and inspiration, and may we seek to find good and be the good we want to see in the world.
Thank you, Lindsay and Carlo. Wesley, excuse me. Speaking of Carlo, Carlo was about to fill in for someone, but she's here. And to welcome our visitors is Daly Miller, Vice President of Community Outreach Center at the Union Gospel Mission. Thank you, Daly. Glad you're here.
I'm here. We were going over names, and I really feel like Carlos should say them, but I'm going to give it a go. We are honored to welcome here today Captain Dana Canby, Command Senior Chief Dominic Daphnis, Hospital Corpsman First Class Leonard Sturgis, Son Raven Battles, BM2 Pete Atienza, EM2 Matthew Saucedo. All right. Then we would also like to announce Commander's wife, Molly Canby. Thank you for being here. Lovely.
USS Fort Worth, people.
Yay, thank you. We are very honored by your attendance today. Thank you so much. We also have today Valerie Hicks, guest of Randall Howard. Joshua Kennerly, guest of past President Carla Capua. Thank you. See, I shouldn't be doing that. Mayor Pro Tem Gina Bivens, guest of Rebecca. Is she here? Lovely. John Nichols, let's see, guest of Rebecca Montgomery. Thank you. Courtney McLaughlin, guest of Kathy Brown. Oh, thank you. Mike Distorst, Detourhurst, guest of Chris Cobbler. Yes, there you go. Maria Woolman, guest of Rachel Vogel. Thank you all.
Thank you, Daley. And you may have noticed President Rebecca is not here, so please bear with me. And now we're going to do our four-way test. So follow along if you would. Is it the truth? 2, is it fair to all concerned? 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you very much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm following the script, please welcome to the stage our newscaster, President-elect Ann Sheets. So, thank you. It's nice to be here. Today, I bring you some of my favorite stories and headlines. First, police responded to a report of 2 dogs running loose and attacking ducks. The officer cited a resident for the loose dogs. According to police records, the duck refused medical treatment and left the area. Maybe the duck thought the medical personnel were a bunch of quacks. And in other news about ducks, the Marshall Police Department responded to a report of a crazed duck in the area. Officers searched the ducks and found only relaxed ducks. Kind of makes me wonder what the ducks were smoking. And police reports give us some interesting news. Here, suspicious people were reportedly doing something with flashlights. A deputy checked and found they were not suspicious, but merely Canadians out for a stroll. You have to look out for those wild and crazy Canadians, eh? And it's sad when newspapers have a regular column for corrections. Here, under Setting It Straight, I guess because they didn't want to call it correction, a local artist was incorrectly quoted as saying his bandmate Eric was on drugs. It should have read he was on drums. Eric should not be distraught. The newspaper said it regrets the error. And even the food column can contain errors. This actual recipe for salsa called for 2 teaspoons of cilantro, not 2 teaspoons of cement. That may account for any adverse reactions to consuming salsa. And finally, a headline. Sometimes headlines need to be corrected. In one such item, instead of stolen groceries, the headline should have read homicide. Easy to make that mistake. Okay, a group of students were playing hide and seek in a university building at 11 p.m., which caused a faculty member to call the police. Looks like the students did a really good job hiding because the police could not find them. Thank you. And speaking of not finding things, here's a bit of irony. Paychecks for postal workers get lost in the mail. So how about these classified ads? Yes, spend $200,000 on a new home and we'll give you a 79-cent drink free. Need a good typist for secret documents. Must be unable to read. That way the secrets don't get out. And here's one for an electric hospital bed with trampoline. No surprise that it's like new. And good for Chevrolet. How about this? A 1972 Chevy Nova, actual mileage 29,222,000 miles. They don't make them like that anymore. And a Major McCluskey from the Farmington Police says road rage is not a problem there. He explained by saying, we have sporadic incidents of people pointing guns at each other, but I wouldn't call that road rage. And look, this is one of my favorites. Muffins are on sale in the value pack for $3.49. And besides that, they're boneless. This story is about the value and the benefits of log houses. I know you can't really see the fine print, but it says, log homes are sturdy. They have withstood hurricanes, tornadoes, and earthquakes that have toppled conventional homes. I don't know about you, but I'm relieved it's not tomato season here. And finally, the weather report. Tomorrow should be partly cloudy with a 30% chance of afternoon. We should know about 12:01 if we have afternoon or not. Assuming we do, have a good weekend. And if there's anyone who would like to do newscasts, please see Kathy Neese-Brown. Now it's time for announcements. We have a grant award today, but before that, I want to bring up a previous grant recipient to talk about our grants in action. Please welcome Terrence Butler, Director of Development for Academy 4. Terrence?
Thank you,
Glad you're
Ann.
here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. I'm Terrence Butler, VP of Development at Academy 4, and I'm happy to announce, I think there's a slide that shows kind of what it all went to. There it is. It says, thank you. Academy 4 happens once a month on Friday for 90 minutes, nine times for the year. We get together with a fourth grade student and we talk to them about leadership. It is so magical to see what happens between that adult mentor and that child once they get together. We applied for a grant for workbooks, t-shirts, club supplies, all the things that makes Academy 4 run, and y'all stepped up and made that grant for us. We've been around 13 years. When we received the grant, a couple of years ago, we were only in 30 schools. We're in 55. So we grow about 10 schools or more a year. And I love being part of Rotary. I love how we give back to the community. So I just say thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Terrence. It's great to see our grants in action. And now, past President Larry Anfin, President of K&L Enterprises, is here to present a new grant.
Thank you, President-elect Ann. Today's grant for $1,500 is for a great organization, Renaissance Heights Foundation, to fund community development. Accepting the check today will be Kenny Mosley. Is anybody taking a picture? Okay. I messed up on that last time. As a reminder to the club, we can make these grants possible through your generous support of our membership. Please consider helping make these grants possible by donating to one of our charitable funds. Oh, there is okay. You can do it by QR code there or do it whenever you renew your membership. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, Larry. Thank you and congratulations. We have second readings today, and graciously stepping in for Secretary Christina is Sergeant at Arms Maddie P. Compton, a retired federal prosecutor. Maddie?
Good afternoon, Fort Worth Rotarians. Our first second reading is for Gina Bivens. Her title is Mayor Pro Tem, Company, City of Fort Worth, Classification, Municipal Government, and her proposer is President Rebecca Montgomery. I move her election subject to attending a new member Rotary information section.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Congratulations, Gina, and we're glad you're here today. And I'm really glad that passed since she's here.
Our second reading is for Baldwin Brown. His title is Principal. His company is I Am Terrell Academy for STEM and VPA. His classification is education, and his proposer is Randall Fluke. I move his election, subject to attending a new member Rotary information session.
I have a motion. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and we welcome Baldwin.
Our third second reading is Drew R. Carlton. His title is CEO. His company is Mesa Springs Hospital. Classification, behavioral health care. His proposer is immediate past president, Kirk Driver. I move his election, subject to attending a new member Rotary information session.
Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it, and we welcome Drew as a new member.
Number 4, Chris W. Daniels, title, Deputy Chief, company, City of Fort Worth Police Department. His classification is law enforcement, and his proposer is, again, immediate past president, Kirk Driver. I move his election, subject to attending a new member Rotary information session.
We have a motion, and I think we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Congratulations to Chris. We welcome him as a member.
And 5th is Gina Scholl. Her title is Community Relations and Special Events Company, is Higginbotham. Classification is insurance and finance, and proposer is past president David Campbell. I move her election, subject to attending a new member Rotary information session.
We have a motion. Is there a second? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Congratulations. The motion carries, and we will welcome Gina. It's great to have new members, and today we also have new blue badges for those new members who have completed their 6 acts of service. So as I call your name, please come to the front, and I will trade your red badge for a gold one. Jim Bowes.
My red badge was safe and sound in my other job.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations. Next is Terrence Butler. Congratulations. Thank you. Next is Midori Clark. And we will move on to Cecilia Marugo. And finally, Cindy Tonages. Thank you. Let's give all our new blue badgers a welcome. And this is always the best. We have a new member introduction. Here with that intro is Corey Harris.
Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday. This is so exciting to see these new members getting their blue badges so quickly. So those of you with your red badges today, the challenge is on. I met John and Jill Kirk through the Fort Worth Club, and they have just become just quick friends. They're wonderful people. We would say in East Texas, salt of the earth. So I am very proud to present to you today a new member of this club. as you can tell, he played football. He played for the Aggies. He, he graduated with a wildlife and fisheries science major. He was able to play for the full 5 years, which I'm sure the Aggies were very grateful for that. He is a third-generation Aggie, and his wife also is an Aggie. He had weightlifting records in benching 530 pounds. Am I reading that correctly? Wow. Squat 710, and incline at 485. Whew. During college, he spent 2 summers working for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service fighting forest fires. That's pretty amazing. The first year was in Alaska, and the second was on the Gulf Coast. After college, he played 3 seasons of arena football and then eventually became a master personal trainer for 24-hour fitness. He moved into car business where he eventually worked in their finance department before leaving to join Linear Roofing in the roofing industry. And, you know, it's always good to know someone in the roofing industry. Just like your doctor, your lawyer, you hope you never have to use them. But he's a good one to know. He does a really good job. Currently, he does the outside sales and focuses on increasing luxury roofing sales in the area. He proposed to his wife, Jill, after an A&M game, and they were married October of 2006. They have 3 beautiful children, Natalie, who's 15, William is 13, and Duncan is 10. They love to travel, and any chance they can get, he goes to Studio 80. So if anyone loves doing that, connect.
Just because I can't get Corey to go with me. Thank you, Corey, for that introduction and for your and Chris's great friendship. Howdy. All right, well, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I'm very proud of my family's history here in Fort Worth. My father, Gary, served as a Fort Worth firefighter, and he was a captain, and he retired after 36 years. My grandmother, Dorothy, worked at the Montgomery Ward on 7th Street for a long time, and my grandfather, E.R., and his brothers owned a car dealership on Henderson called Kennard Brothers. However, I suppose the person that gets the most credit is my mother, who gave birth to the 10-pound version of myself at Harris downtown. So I'm grateful to have grown up here, and my goal is to find ways to positively impact the city, and I feel strongly that many people in this room are going to be able to give me some guidance on how to do that. I'm proud to be called a Rotarian. Thank you.
Thank you, John, and I can't help but call John Big John because he was a volunteer camp counselor and for some reason never had any discipline problems. We're happy to have you as a member of the Rotary Club.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Two, Corey. What? You need me to do this?
Thank you. And now it's time for our guest speaker. Our chairperson of the day is Larissa Hilcher, who is the Chief Brand Officer for D&M Leasing Fort Worth. Larissa.
Thank you, Ann. Good afternoon, Rotarians, and happy Friday. Representing the D&M Leasing Companies this afternoon is the President, Joe Graber. He's over the Commercial Leasing Division here at D&M. Joe began his career back in 1985 as a sales agent shortly after Mike Hernandez. He served in several key management roles, opening new operations for the company in San Antonio, Florida, and Dallas, prior to being named president of the organization under Mike Hernandez in 1999. Over the last 30-plus years, Joe has developed cutting-edge proprietary management software at D&M while creating and teaching new market-savvy sales strategies and techniques. These accomplishments are part of the corporate culture that led D&M to become the largest consumer leasing company in the nation. Today, D&M operates 4 consumer and commercial leasing operations, 3 used car operations, 4 Stars Financial Services, and 4 Stars Auto Group. Joe has been married to his beautiful wife, Jeannie, for over 30 years. They have 2 incredible daughters, both TCU grads. He loves to travel in his spare time, He loves to spend time at the lake with his family. He's been on multiple African safaris. He loves to cook. He loves music. He can play the saxophone and the drums, and he is a die-hard Kansas City fan and alum. Please welcome my friend Joe Graber.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Larissa. You added a lot of stuff. We've known each other for a long time, so, excuse me. So thanks for the opportunity to speak today. I'm not from Fort Worth originally, I'm from Kansas, but my wife was born here and my daughters were born in the area as well, so we're naturalized. My father was a Rotarian, and in my hometown in Kansas during my childhood. So I'm familiar with Rotary, and I know about the mission and what Rotary is all about. I hope today to tell a little bit about the company, but also, with reference to what we're doing, our vision towards trying to promote a culture of success and how we're trying to develop people and careers and be a part of the community. So we'll talk about a little bit of all of that. I started, as Larissa said, back in '85. And the story about that was we were in little bitty offices back behind Don Davis. If you remember in Arlington, Don Davis Oldsmobile. We were behind the showroom there, small offices. And they hired me and I went to work there. Well, there were no more offices. And the receptionist was at a desk with a phone just there by the front door, not much room. And there was a partition behind her. Not even a permanent partition, just one of those that you move around, a sound partition. And so they took a card table and they set it up behind the partition and put a phone on it and put a chair behind it. I don't even think it was an office chair. I think it was a folding chair, and said, lease cars. Is how my career started at D&M over 40 years ago. So that was, we're a little bit more sophisticated about it today. And a little bit of a disruptor really in the auto industry. We're really more of a marketing company, but I wanted to share a little bit about how we got there and tell you about kind of what we're doing in the community, what we're doing with the business. The disruptor part kind of comes from the fact that dealerships have vehicles. D&M has no inventory, other than lease returns that we basically keep and they're headed to the auction. Dealerships have finance and insurance solicitors who complete finance arrangements and sell products and do that kind of thing in dealerships. We don't. We have agents who handle the entire transaction front to back. Which really helps with the relationship with our clients. Dealerships have dealerships. Dealers have dealerships. It's where all the cars are. And the cars really drive the transaction. It's more of an emotional type decision. We don't have any dealerships. We don't have any inventory. We operate out of an office building and create relationships with our clients basically over the phone. There are many transactions where we barely even see our clients, which is odd for the auto industry, but I'll tell you a little bit more about it. Considering that we started that model, about 50 years ago, and before the internet certainly, and you can see kind of how it's a much different business model than most any other in the auto industry. I have a clicker, don't I? Okay. There we go. Get used to this. Looks like I missed my page. Sorry. The footprint that we have is almost entirely in Texas. The commercial division that I'm overseeing now does business all over the country. But we've been around for a long time, as I said, over 50 years. And we're fortunate to have well over $1 billion worth of vehicles on the road, just simply in the DFW area. And the contracts are, the 15,000 contracts that we have out are lease contracts only. The franchise stores that we have, we're also in the dealership business, the franchise stores that we have focus mainly on their primary market areas, but they also provide vehicles for our leasing operations, which is an important part of the overall vision that we can kind of talk about later. So we're the largest direct consumer leasing company in the United States. We have several brands, also D&M Leasing, including Apple Leasing, Autoflex Leasing, Dallas Lease Returns, and the franchise dealerships that I mentioned. We have 8 different brands under 5 different rooftops, and they're mostly located north of the Metroplex. The company growth over the last 20 years, 50 years, I guess we've been in business, but the growth, the first 30 years compared to the last 20 years is kind of what's important about the timeline. And I'm not going to go over every bit of the timeline because you don't need to hear that. but basically the growth trajectory is what I wanted to focus on. The seminal event for the rapid expansion of the company was really our independence from the dealerships that were our partners in the first 30 years or up until 2005. We were part of the Don Davis and Dave Moritz dealerships. That's where D&M came from. When Don Davis and Dave Moritz retired, they were separating out all their holdings, and we picked up Van Tile as our dealer partner, which was fine. We learned a lot from them. In 2005, we decided that we would, Mike Hernandez, our owner, made a deal to repurchase the company from the Van Tile Group, and we went out on our own, basically, relying 100% on our internal vision for what the company should be and what our potential should be. The story about that is that the agents had been, they had a lot of trepidation about having a dealer partner. Van Tile had a reputation for being a little bit hard-nosed, and that's fine. They run a great organization. They've done very well. We learned a lot from them. But the agents were so happy about being independent and being on their own that they declared D&M Independence Day back in '05, and we celebrate it every year to this day. So it was a point where I think everybody felt liberated to a certain extent, and it certainly fueled our vision for our growth over the years. We began that growth through acquisition, but we also refined our selling system and our advertising over the years. I had a lot to do with that because we had a lot of customers, and we don't do what most dealerships do. We lease vehicles out of an office building. You have to understand, the product that you have to sell, the environment in which you have to sell it, and you have to understand how your clients make buying decisions. We went through some acquisitions. We acquired Superior Leasing. We acquired Advantage Leasing. Some years later, we acquired Apple Leasing in Austin, and then most recently Autoflex Leasing, who was one of our largest competitors back in the day when we started. We started our own financial services company, as Larissa mentioned, 4 Stars Finance, to fund our leases internally, and then from there we bought the dealerships through which we could source our vehicles. The growth was really contagious and the opportunities were plentiful, and I think the agents and managers in the company were invigorated with that. We made a policy to only promote from within. So today, all of our sales management team, every one of them, including Mike Hernandez, the owner, and myself, started as agents at D&M Leasing. So we don't go to the outside to hire any of our management team, CFOs, and that type of thing that we do. But all the sales organization has been promoted from within. I think really that, along with a real clear mission, communicated effectively through the executive team, is responsible for the culture of success that we enjoy today. Likely the main reason that we've been recognized for so many top workplace awards and been very fortunate, top private companies and dealer recognition awards over the past 15 years. There were 33 of those really in all. The next slide kind of talks about the D&M family. The structure, the holding company, D&M Leasing, we've evolved over the years, and the different leasing operations that we have are listed here. D&M Leasing in Houston. We have one in, of course, Fort Worth here, which is where our, where our headquarters are. D&M Leasing in Dallas, and then the commercial leasing company that I'm currently running, Apple Leasing, which is down in Austin, and then, of course, Autoflex. Commercial division began about 7 years ago. Autoflex and D&M came together just kind of out of necessity, really. We'd been competitors for a long time, but the funding had kind of left the market to a certain extent. We started our own financial services company. It gave us a great opportunity to grow from there. The reason that we started the 4 Stars Finance And the reason that we expanded the way we did was we had roughly 50,000 drivers on the road in D&M cars. We were brokering our leases through large national banks, and we were buying all of our inventory from local dealers. We had great relationships with all of them, and it was fantastic. But Mike and I used to lose sleep over the fact that one day we might wake up and the dealers might decide that they didn't want to do business with us anymore. We don't want to sell D&M cars anymore. They want to sell them to the public. Well, that actually happened during COVID. They didn't want to sell us cars anymore, not at the price that we buy them. And so the dealerships that we bought really came in handy. They didn't have a lot of vehicles either, but we had a leg up. We were brokering all of our leases to great funding partners and banking partners that we'd had for years. But if they decided they didn't want to fund our leases anymore, what would we do? And that was really the impetus to start 4 Stars Finance. So we hired Jeff Gurney, who had been in the credit union business for a long time, and began to meet with bankers, hat in hand, to tell them basically what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it, and they all thought we were crazy. The first one we got on board worked out well, and we started putting it together, and it became more and more successful, and now we have a huge suite of funders, and we distribute all of our paper to all of them. But sure enough, not long after we did that, our largest funder that we used to broker leases to back in the day got out of the market and decided they were no longer going to do business with what they called brokers, which was independent leasing companies like ours. We no longer had a dealer partner, we were independent, and they decided they didn't want to do that anymore. Well, we had 4 Stars Finance, and so I really think that fueled, when you look at this D&M leasing family of companies, there's a story to that growth trajectory, and that's really, it was really out of necessity that we did it. Yeah, the 15% per annum average growth over the last 10 years has been pretty good. We've had different segments that have done well. Our commercial leasing department I've been very proud of. It's something I started about 7 years ago. 2 years ago, we grew that department 35%, and last year we grew at 45% year over year. And we have the TexMass contract, which is the state contract for fleet management in the state of Texas. And we have really great relationships and contracts with the cooperatives, 2 or 3 of the biggest cooperatives, 2 of them nationwide, and 1 of them by board, some of you may be familiar with in Texas. So we've the $1.5 billion in Avenue revenue and the diversified income sources, I think, really is the story here. To be able to grow into different markets and do different things and diversify, I think, has been the key here, and really proves up our consistent margins and profitability over the years. These are some of our marketing pieces. The bottom line is here that of the next 2 slides really is that we started years ago on the radio, and some of you that have been around here for a long time may remember, and you've probably still heard our commercials. You probably hear them, probably more than you want to, I'm sure. But a long time ago, we've diversified. I'll go to the next slide. A long time ago, we were on the radio and still trying to figure it out. The dealerships were in the papers, and you remember on Sundays, and this has been 40 years ago, you'd open the paper on the weekends, and top to bottom, there'd be full-page ads for dealerships with cars and payments and this and that. It's a little bitty leasing company, very small at the time. We knew we'd get lost there, we'd get buried. So what are we going to do? So we got on the radio. And we figured out, everybody around here has the radio, or they all listen to the radio. We needed endorsers that fit our niche. We had to figure out what the niche was and then get people to endorse us. Well, we had the political spectrum, we had the sports spectrum, with the ticket, and we've had all that we've done for years and years. But there was another competitor who did the same thing, and it was Autoflex Leasing. And between Autoflex and D&M, we were competing for time on the radio. We were competing for the best endorsers. We were doing this, and it was, I know, just probably insufferable that people heard those ads on the radio absolutely all the time, probably worse than it is now. But the good thing that happened, we used to get sales calls back then, and somebody would call and say, oh, I heard your ad on the radio about this, that, or the other, and I want to talk about leasing a car. Well, it was Autoflex's ad that they had heard. It wasn't ours. They began to run into each other to the point where people basically didn't know who they were calling, which was a good thing. And I think it really led to DFW becoming one of, if not the hottest leasing market anywhere in the country. And that's 35 years ago. So it really helped establish our market. And now that Autoflex is actually a partner, of course, we talk about it all the time, how we used to go at it so hard and we just hated each other and that kind of thing. And it really led to something great. So now we're partners. It's a pretty good story. These days, we not only do radio and we found the right endorsers and we do all that pretty successfully, but we're in television, we do streaming and print, paid organic search, social media. All of you are familiar with that. You all do it, and probably a lot better at it than I am, and know more about it than I do, but it's been successful. D&M leasing in the community. Larissa knows a lot about this because she heads up a lot of our projects that we have in the community. And when we first came to Fort Worth, I guess the story here, by the way, our CFO did this slide presentation because Greg Buell was supposed to be here today to talk to you. He's a great guy, and you would have really enjoyed it. This is subject matter I know pretty well. So Greg did the slides, so I'm going to show you the slides, but I'm going to tell you the story, and then we'll try to, get out of here on time. But in the community, Larissa's the one that really heads up all that. She's our chief brand officer. She engages the community, but we were in the mid-cities, and I was running the sales operations here, Dallas, wherever. And I figured we're getting 25-30% of our business from Fort Worth, no problem. I knew we were. We're in Arlington. We had been there forever. And I decided to look into it one day. Mike and I were talking, and I said, I'm just going to research this a little bit and find out how much of our business is coming from Fort Worth. Anybody want to guess? 3%. 3% of our business was coming. We're doing pretty good business in Dallas. Fort Worth people, as we all know, don't do business outside of Fort Worth. Excuse me, just doesn't happen. Pardon me. So made it a project, and I started doing some research, and we got this building here on the corner of 7th and Summit, where we rented space for a while, and our sign's still there, thankfully, that bright sign that shines all the way down I-30, which is fantastic. I fought the city tooth and nail to get that sign. They didn't want to do it. But it was great to let people know we were here. But the only way you let people know in Fort Worth that you're here is to get involved with the community. That's the only way to do it. And so Larissa came to work for us 6-7 years ago now. And that was the drive. That's what we were going to do. But it was a great move. Not only was the growth here, but Fort Worth's a great town. There's a lot to do, and we were really well rewarded with that, business-wise. But also it's been rewarding personally for us to be a part of a great city. We have some of the things that Larissa and we have done. The bike build every Christmas that we do. We actually build the bikes that we give away. So the agents get involved and they build the bikes at D&M, and then we get them all and give them away at Christmas time. Excuse me. Do the women's shelter, Fort Worth Syndicate, of course, Cowtown Ball, Cook Children's Hospital, where Larissa's been involved for many years. We gave away a specially equipped truck, a Toyota truck for a disabled veteran at the Armed Forces Bowl in Fort Worth one year. I don't know if any of you were at that game. It's been a couple years ago. And then the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial, we sponsor things there, and a lot of other things we do as well. But it was so important for us to be here and move our headquarters to Fort Worth, and now we're in the old Whitley Penn building just down the street. It's been a great move for us, and Fort Worth's been very good to us, so we like to try to give back. This value proposition is really a little bit too simplified. This white glove service, competitive monthly payment, that sounds like an advertisement. That's not really what I want to do here. But what I want to, it really is, but what I want to do is talk about where the value proposition starts, because I think this benefits not only our clients, but it benefits the agents that work for us, and it leads to a culture of success that we have, I think, that's unique. I mean, not only do we sell vehicles out of an office building, but your approach to selling has to be completely different. You've got to start with a value proposition to the customer. The selling system is a needs-based selling system, and that's kind of catchphrase, and I know a lot of people talk about that, and I could describe it in detail, but I won't. Because basically I came up with a selling system over a time of 25 years and refined it and studied the psychology behind sales, what we're selling, the environment in which we're selling it, what our product truly is, and how people make buying decisions. And it's a needs-based selling system that we use, because this is a very high-ticket item, and we're not a dealership where you have a vehicle sitting on a lot. There's not one vehicle for sale outside of that building over on 7th Street, not one. So you've got to have a selling system that works, and that's what we developed. It's proprietary, the agents like it, our customers like it, they come back, and that's really what creates the loyalty and the stickiness in the brand. So we don't sell cars, we manage the client's vehicle needs and provide a high level of customer service, and our clients really like it. Years ago, and you've all heard the commercial on the radio, I'm sure. Years ago, we were trying to find a new slogan. We were getting ready to go on the radio, wanted to change things up a little bit, and looking for ideas. So I called 100 plus of our best customers, and I interviewed them, talked to them, and just asked them the basic question: what is it that you like about D&M Leasing? I didn't frame the answer, didn't do anything. I just asked the question. And I was surprised that they didn't. I thought they'd say lower payments, because leasing payments are lower. You only pay for the portion of the car that you're going to use, all that good stuff. It's true. They didn't say that. And they didn't say, oh, it's because I love my agent. I thought I might hear some of that, because our agents are great. People like the product. I love my agent. That's why I like D&M. They didn't say that either. They were satisfied, but they didn't say that either. The reason that what they said they liked most was that we make leasing easy. That's what they told me. 90% of them said that's what it was. So you may have heard that on the radio, because that's exactly what we did. And now we have the jingle, and we can all, we hear it a lot. So interesting story about how that came, but that's what people like. We also thought at one time we'd have delivery centers where trying to go, stay ahead, because when you do what we do and you're a disruptor in the market, you got to stay ahead of people. You got to think of the next best thing. Open up an office where we can take a Sprinter van out and have people sign their paperwork on the way to this beautiful office with red carpet and have their car there ready to deliver and bring everybody to us. Same thing. I called 100 or so of our best customers. I said, what about if we do this? Doesn't that sound great? And they said, you mean you're not going to deliver my cars to me anymore? They didn't like it at all. So we scrapped that and moved on with the model that we already had. Flexibility is important to our model. People have to be able to trade in and out of cars when they need to. They have to be able to meet their needs. Any make or model is available. We're agnostic as far as brand is concerned. Of course, we have the dealerships, and we like to sell those, but we do any make or model because our clients' needs change over time. And we provide those options. Recurring revenue, this is the part that our CFO wrote, generates significantly higher contribution margin with no customer acquisition costs. That means that we're really good at retention business, basically. Our system, we developed our own proprietary software system. It's very good at staying and engaging with our clients and keeping our agents engaged with the clients. And that's risk elimination. Early exchange through sound leasing structuring eliminates residual value exposure. That means that 85% or so of our customers trade out of their leases early. The leases are structured properly. They're not stuck. They don't pay high penalties. The residuals are reasonable market level residuals. There's no penalties for getting out early. We stay in touch with them, and they get out of their leases early and they go get another car. And that makes it easy for them, and they like that process. So basically, that's how we develop the relationship. The diversification of makes and the market, you can break all this down, but it really doesn't matter. We know the brands that we lease the most, and we bought dealerships because we can source our own vehicles, but we have all the others available too. We have a wonderful relationship with most all dealers. Now, we all went through COVID, and nobody was interested in doing business with us anymore because they didn't have enough cars, and we understand that. We have great relationships with the local dealerships. We buy lots of cars from them still. So our strategic partnerships are very important to us. But this is one of the things that really helps us stay relevant to our customers because they don't have to go somewhere else. If you have a Chevy and you want a Ford, that's fine. We're good with that. You don't move to another dealership. The idea of customers want three things. The model that they have with dealerships, I'm sure you've all experienced getting cars at dealerships. They're great organizations. Some of you may be affiliated with dealerships. Would never say anything bad about a dealership. They're great partners. We're competitors, obviously, but in many ways, we don't do the same thing that a dealership does. We have managed vehicle needs for people, dozens of cars over 10, 15 years in the same family. It's just a service that we provide that's a little bit different. Customers really want three things, and our selling system and the benefit to the customer is based on is something I studied a long time ago, which is that when you're transacting business on something of this value, A home and a car, the two most expensive things people generally transact. They want their personal needs met. First and foremost, I want my personal needs met. What are those personal needs? And that's where our selling system starts. Not with, hey, how about this car? How about this payment? Whatever. No. What are those personal needs? Let's talk about it. They want guarantees. And so we talk to them about, okay, we understand your personal needs. Here's how we're going to guarantee that happens. We haven't talked about a car. We haven't talked about payments or anything. Just here's how we'll structure this to make it happen. And then they want customer service. And I think I've talked a little bit about how we do that and how we deliver the vehicles to the customers, and we're flexible and that sort of thing. The psychology of all that, I think really is what makes the clients feel comfortable, and the fact that they're making a good decision with us is reinforced in that process. So we compete very well with the dealerships with those ideas at the forefront, and we understand the psychology of selling, the buying decision, and ultimately it's a process that our clients choose to repeat. Building a world-class sales force, we use a lot of things to do that. We have our in-house talent development people. We have culture indexes, and we have benchmarks for agents that are based on the success our agents have had for years and years and years in the company. We tried to hire like people. We have people outside of the industry who have parallel industries, and we recruit there because we know certain things match up well with what we do. The restaurant business happens to be one of them. People that have been in restaurant management do very well with what we do. There are some really unique ones as well that are kind of interesting, but I won't go into all that. We found out that management support is most important to reduce turnover, and so we have a very high level of management support, and we have tools and we have videos and remedial training 3 times a week, and we learned that our agents don't learn our selling system by theory, they learn it by rote. And so it has to be repeated, and has to be repeated often. And if you go from Fort Worth to Dallas and you're an agent and you transfer, you'll hear the same thing both places. It's like everybody laughed at Nick Saban for doing everything so close to the vest, and everything was exactly the same, and everybody did the same thing, going the same way. But guess what? It worked for him. They don't laugh at him, I don't think, anymore. The makeup of our sales team. 140 or so agents right now. The average tenure of the agents, 10 to 11 years, which is unique for the car business. Our managers' average tenure is over 16 years. And I think the reason for that is number one, that we promote from within, and the agents see a path to future growth and to management within the company. And we've had a lot of growth, so there's been a lot of opportunity. Agents bring an entrepreneurial mindset when they come in. We encourage them to have a career. We don't hire people to have a sales job, it's to have a career. That's easy to say, but you have to have a culture that supports it. Those agents that come in build an asset within our company. They have a company within a company. As long as they remain with the company, the asset belongs to them, it's protected, and our agents transact business start to finish. They do everything. They don't turn it to somebody to close or turn it to somebody to do financial arrangements or credit or anything else. They buy their own vehicles, they do their own contracts, they disclose all the terms, they take care of their customer, and they have that primary relationship. It benefits the customer, and it certainly benefits us. Our repeat referral and retention business in the company is over 70%. 70% of our business comes from repeat customers, retention deals, and referred. So I think that's an asset that they'll want to that's one of the reasons that agents come here, and one of the reasons they stay is what I'm trying to say. The last thing, doing okay so far, I guess. The last thing that I'll talk about, really the key to our success and where this is all going. The reason I wanted to explain all those things to you is, the reason I told you all that is so I can tell you this. The infinity loop model really generates that recurring revenue that we've been talking about. And it benefits everybody in the company, and it benefits our clients as well. It starts, and the reason that we have these different entities, it starts with a customer coming to D&M and leasing a car. Well, we source that car from one of our own dealerships, and the dealership makes revenue. We lease the car at D&M, and D&M makes revenue. We get great prices on the car, and we get great rates from our banks because of the volume business that we do. But we source the car from our dealership, and we lease the vehicle to the customer, and D&M makes revenue. Our financial services company, 4 Stars, executes the lease. They carry the paper. Well, they make money for doing that, so we make revenue on that side. Customer drives the vehicle, the lease is set up properly, they'll likely get out early, and when they come to us, we stay in touch with them. We call them 2, 3, 4 times a year, remind them why they're here and what we're doing for them and the plan that we put in place. When it's time to get out of the car, we take the vehicle, trade them out of it and into a new lease, and that vehicle goes to Dallas Lease Returns, which is our used car operation. And we have that vehicle then for sale to the public or to our customers. It's a warehouse. It's not a traditional auto dealership with flags and balloons and hot dogs on the weekends and kind of thing. It's a warehouse, and the vehicles are on the way to the auction. We advertise them for a certain period of time, and as soon as when they're done, they're done. We don't keep them. We let them go. And we make revenue on that side of the business as well. Then the customer gets back into another vehicle that we hopefully source through a dealership, and we fund through our financial services company, and D&M makes revenue on the lease again, and it just continues. So years ago, when Mike and I used to talk about what the potential for D&M leasing would be, that's kind of the model that we envisioned. A lot of it happened out of necessity. Dealers wouldn't maybe sell us cars, or banks wouldn't maybe fund our leases, and we began to think about those things. But as soon as we became independent, we knew that we needed a better plan, and this is the plan that we came up with. I think it's valuable. It makes the company valuable. It makes us active in the community. It makes us valuable for our customers and valuable for the employees that work with us and help create that culture of success. So I really appreciate your time today. We have a lot of growth projected for the next few years within Texas and with strategic markets around the company and a strategic plan that goes through 2035 and beyond. So if any of you have any questions, I'd be happy to ask them. I know we're about up. I didn't intend to talk that long, but I know we're about out of time. Yes, ma'am.
I have a 2007 Lexus SUV. You wanted me. I wanted to lease that car. I don't know why.
Okay, we'll talk just as soon. I'm coming. He has a Lexus. We're gonna work on that right now. Yes, sir.
In Larissa's introduction, she mentioned that you had a special software that helped you, I guess, become more efficient.
Yes.
Can you explain what that is?
We developed a software program. It's over the years that it does so many things. It's hard. We could talk afterwards, but it tracks all of it. It's like a CRM basically tool. But it allows us to see our customers' payoffs in real time, and it allows us to see what the vehicle's worth in the market in real time, and then it creates opportunities and for service and for lots of other things too, many other things. But one of the areas where we grew was we can see, let's say Ford comes out with a $5,000 rebate on Ford pickup trucks, and you've got a bunch of customers in a Ford pickup truck. You can see exactly what their car's worth in the market, and the rebate's out there, and if they want to trade for the same payment, they can do it, and we call them. It's that kind of thing that we put into it that I think helps us. Yes, sir.
Any comments on the change in electrical vehicle sales here?
Comments on change the electric vehicles. We're leasing electric vehicles. The lease-in market is going to be volatile because we don't know what they're going to be worth at the end. We have to guarantee a residual on a vehicle when we lease it. So we pay for the portion we're going to use, and at the end it's worth a certain amount of money. That amount of money on a closed-end lease, which is what consumer leases are, they're closed-end. We have to guarantee that price. Who knows what an electric vehicle is going to be worth in 4 or 5 years? Because the technology is moving so quickly. Battery technology, just the market has completely changed in the last 2 or 3 years, where we thought everything was going to be electric by 2035, and now we're migrating away from that idea. So that's a constantly moving target for us, and we're trying to keep up with it. But we are leasing electric cars. Yes, sir.
Is any part of D&M the public company?
No. No, we're privately held. D&M's not a public company, privately held. Yes, ma'am.
I'm from KRLD 100 years ago. I remember your nauseating commercials.
No, if you didn't hear that, the word was nauseating. I didn't use that word, but I get it. Yeah.
I also thank you for the D&M story. I never knew how you came about, so I'm from Fort Worth. I appreciate doing that.
Thank you. Thank you. I enjoyed being here. All right, well, I know it's 12 o'clock, so thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Joe, we really appreciate your talk, and it was good to learn about the basis of the company and what all you're doing. On behalf of the Rotary Club, we want to thank you and let you know that we have made a contribution to Rotary's Polio Plus program in your honor.
That's terrific.
So thank you so much. Thank you. All right, we have just a few closing announcements. First, I want to really thank all of our visitors and guests who are here, especially our representatives from the USS Fort Worth. Let's give them a hand. Thank you. We are in search of some national anthem musicians. You only have to play one song. You know, it's not hard, it's just one song. So if you would like to share your talents on the piano and join us, please see Aurora. She's right there welcoming all national anthem musicians. Yes. We have a Board of Directors meeting in the Rotary office immediately following this, and next week, I encourage you to come because our program will be on the Renaissance House. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for being here.